All right, everybody. Let's corral ourselves, get seated. We'll get the show started. I know we've got some people still out getting some food, so we'll maybe give them a minute or two here. But welcome to IronSWUG, everybody. I know some of you folks have traveled out here from far, at least as far as Madison, Chicago, and all that. So welcome to Milwaukee. Welcome to Harley-Davidson Museum. I think it's getting a little active outside as well, so feel free to indulge in the festivities outside to your heart's content when we're done here. Today, we'll just have a little kind of welcome session, just so you can kind of get to know some of the people involved here, because we actually have several user groups represented up here, so depending on where you're from, you may care more about some of us than others. And then we've got a couple of really good presentations coming up through here. We'll introduce them as they come along. We've got Daniel Granillo from SolidWorks. We've got Adam and Brad from Altec. They have journeyed here by motorcycle all the way from the Southeast. And we're lucky and happy to have them. So if you don't know me, my name is Dave Mandl. I am the user group leader here in Milwaukee. We're called SMART. That's the acronym. So we returned to live in-person meetings just last year out of the pandemic, and it's actually this year is our 25th anniversary, which is pretty fun. We've got we also have a few former user group leaders for SMART here. I know we've got Kurt, we've got who else is here? Lenny. Yeah, there's Lenny. Hey, Lenny, how you doing? So we've got a couple of current and former user group leaders from Milwaukee here. Feel free to talk to us. We'll be happy to talk to you. We will have our next meeting. We don't have it fully confirmed just yet, but we will be meeting again in September. I do have a bevy of links up here with QR codes. So if you're in the Milwaukee area and you're interested, basically, we have an email list. You could just email me directly, swug.smart@gmail. Otherwise, we do have a LinkedIn group. We have a meetup group, which I know a lot of you folks used to RSVP here. And then also, we're constantly in the search of, if any of you work for a place that maybe has good facilities to host a meeting, that's basically a QR code to a form that you could fill out to just let me know, hey, here's our company, here's kind of the facilities we have available, and let me know that you're interested in. Other than that, we just have a huge thank you, just because this is a little unique of an event for us. We're collaborating with so many user groups, bringing in so many people. All of these companies in one way or another helped make sure that we had this event on tonight. Huge support from within the SolidWorks reseller channel, from GSC, Hawk Ridge, Go Engineer, Swift Solutions, and Converge. All of them helped us out in one way or another to make sure we could put on this event, up to including making sure we could have this thing catered and have some nice food available to us and have this nice facility. So huge thank you to all of them. One of them, and I know they couldn't be here today, but Converge, basically they were a huge help for us, basically, especially when it comes to some of the presentations that Brad and Adam have been doing this week. I guess first, we'll get to them in a little bit in terms of what IronSWUG is and how cool their journey is every year that they get to do, which is pretty fun. But then another one of our sponsors we want to thank individually, GSC. Jeff, I don't know if you want to come up here for a quick second, give a little ones and twos about where people can find you and all that. They can find you right here. They can find you right here. Here.
Is there a mark or something?
Yeah, just back here.
Got cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
If I can lick it, it's close enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll try not to do that, but a lot of familiar faces in the room. I'm Jeff Setzer, technology evangelist at GSC. I have been there for over 32 years now, and GSC obviously has been around at least that long, a little bit longer actually. And we're here in the Milwaukee area, up in Germantown as our headquarters, but we also have Illinois, Chicago area, UP of Michigan, and we also have some additional offices that we've opened up since we've been purchased by Ellison Technology, which is a nationwide company. Many of you probably have their Doosan, the end solutions, the machine tools and whatnot there too. So we partner with them. You can find us elsewhere. We got some people down in Indianapolis today doing an event. So, we've always been small and kind of concentrated in Wisconsin and that, and now we still are. This is our home base, this is where we live and breathe, but we also are branching out a little bit too. So you'll see our logo around a little bit more elsewhere around the nation as we continue on. And I've been there 32 years. Don't plan on going anywhere else. So, but I'm not going to be there another 32 years. I'll tell you that. Sorry to say, I think about getting on the back third of this whole deal, maybe. But yeah. So if you have anybody want to say hi to me, I've seen a lot of you already. Come do so. But we love doing this. We love supporting Smart since the beginning, and this is a great event. We'd love to be part of it. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff. We also have another from the esteemed VAR community. We have Go Engineer here, and I don't know if Mac, if you want to come up and kind of let us know what you guys are about and where they can find you and all that jazz.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mac Rasmussen. I'm one of the directors of engineering for Go Engineer. So we're nationwide, and I run all the technical people, basically everything east of the Rockies. So really happy to be here. And I've known Brad and Adam for, gosh, how long ago did we meet? 2007? No, 2017? 2017. And they're work for one of our customers that's here in the Midwest, but unfortunately Brad and Adam work in the Southeast, so I don't get to see them as often as I get to see some of the fellas here in the Midwest, but it's always great to hook up with them and sponsor this event. You're going to hear more about the details of the event. Just really quick, we're obviously a full service reseller. SOLIDWORKS is our core product, but we also have a whole part of our company that's hardware. So 3D printing, plastic and metal scanning, service bureau printing. I think we're the largest Stratasys dealer in the world, but we have other tools too. Something you might be interested in, we offer all the same kind of training that all the other resellers do around the world. But one thing that's kind of unique about us is we have supported self-paced training. So you guys might have heard of Solid Professor. Anybody raise your hand if you heard of Solid Professor? So same kind of thing. It's delivered on a learning platform. It's not just a YouTube video, but our catalog of classes and the class content is much larger than you can get from Solid Professor or LinkedIn Learning or anything like that. So if you just go to our homepage, if you're interested in different options for training, you can learn all about our self-paced training. In fact, if you're brave, we promise not to Rickroll you and send you to a Rick Astley video. You can see anything about our training. We call it supported self-paced training because for 12 hours between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. here in the central time zone, if you're taking one of our classes and you have a question, you maybe been through the material once or twice and you still have a question, you get a special toll-free number to call and you get one of our certified instructors on the phone, kind of like having TA or professor hours when you were in school. Go talk to them and you'll get somebody qualified to answer your question, help you through that particular question and get on with your lesson. So
Thank you, Mac.
thanks.
Appreciate you. And I don't believe we have anybody here from Hawk Ridge, but we did want to acknowledge them. They helped us out a lot here as well. Obviously another one of the large SOLIDWORKS resellers. They have certainly a multi-state, multi-region network. So huge thank you to them for helping us out. As well as Swift Solutions. They're one of the newer resellers out there, and I believe they're in the Chicago area for sure. As at least as far as our region is concerned, they're definitely in Chicago. Yeah, they do a lot of virtual stuff there. They do a lot of remote support and stuff like that. They are a platinum reseller as well. So we did want to thank them as well because they were definitely helpful in making sure we had this available. So if you're one of their customers, well, you probably already know how to get a hold of them, but you know how that goes. Another big, huge, important thank you is Z at HP. They were a huge help for us, and certainly in terms of providing some hardware that Brad and Adam, or Tank and Adam, excuse me. I will address you by your proper names, sir. Bradham, yeah. So they provided some nice hardware that Bradham are showing off up here up front for us, and as well as helping us out securing facilities and the likes along the way. So huge thank you to them, as well as the 3D Connection. I don't believe
They're giving a Space Mouse Pro away today and an Enterprise.
Oh, that's right. We have Space Mice. So if you haven't registered for our swag giveaway, feel free to filter back there when you're available. But in that fishbowl area, make sure you fill out a ticket, get in there. So we have a bunch of swag up here, and 3D Connection very generously provided us with a Space Mouse Pro and a Space Mouse Enterprise, you said? Oh, fantastic. Woo! Oh, if only I were eligible. Shoot. Okay. And then also a huge thank you to Altec. If you're not familiar with Altec, they employ these two gentlemen. So they're they're a big utility vehicle manufacturer. They're initially based in the Southeast, but really they're national. And I mean, they're national. So huge thank you to them. I mean, if only just for the time that they permit for Bradham to show up here today. So, you know, if you, they've got a QR code here for like careers and stuff like that. So if you know anybody who's on the market, chances are they live close to an Altec facility. Pretty good odds on that. So with that in mind, I'd like to hand this over to our esteemed representative of the Madison Area User Group. Here we go.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here and help support this event, joint meeting with Milwaukee and Chicago. Huge thank you to the Milwaukee group for putting all the effort in on this. Yeah, I guess tidbit for Madison, we turned 25 last year. It's been well supported throughout those years. Looking for a meeting shortly here at the Baudry in Madison, which is a local makerspace. So looking forward to that. That's going to be probably later July, early August. But yeah, here's the meetup page if you guys are interested in keeping track of the Madison group. Now I get to introduce Daniel with SOLIDWORKS certifications.
Thank you, Luke. And can I get a big round of applause for our resellers that, you know, they're our front line of support from SOLIDWORKS to help all of our customers. You know, any issue that you have, like they are on it, and their training is phenomenal. And they've even taken it one step further to offer their PACE training as well. So I'll just take a minute to transfer these slides to my presentation deck. So kickstands up for SOLIDWORKS certification. This is my first year joining Brad and Adam on their IronSWUG journey. And it's been an adventure. We've had luggage almost disappear on us on the highway. Mine is first, and then and then Tank's, you know, I see his strap come undone, and you know, you never know what an adventure's, you know, going to look like for you. And the same thing can be said for your certification journey. You know, some of you may not even know where you can start, where to begin. And hopefully at the end of this presentation, you have a little more of an understanding on how easily it is to obtain a certification and how you can go about your certification journey. And it starts right here. So my name is Daniel Granillo, and I'm a CSWE expert. That's one of our certifications that everyone strives to achieve in their career. I've been with SOLIDWORKS for the past 8 years now, and have been developing exams with the certification team. Some of them being the surfacing exam, helped update that exam, as well as mold making and some of our 3D experience certifications as well. 20 years experience using SOLIDWORKS. And I remember coming to a user group meeting just like this one, and I had no idea what certifications, what they were, and given, a free certification voucher to take an exam. And I didn't pass the first time, but the second time around I passed, and it changed my whole career. Going after my first job, and everyone looking to me, in the company, like, how do you do this, Daniel? Like, oh, you know this, and just by helping others, really help benefit myself in the long run. Hello? Yeah, okay. I reside in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Sturgis, South Dakota. So if you're in either of those two areas, be sure to look me up. And I also write on the streets of Twitter, or now X, Daniel J. Granillo. You can find me there and link up with me. Taking a look at this slide here, we have many industries here up. And what do you think they all have in common? So I heard software, or I heard SOLIDWORKS. Yes. From the technology side, like Samsung, or the construction side, where you're building trucks with vacuums to clean up, the area. Some of our customers work in these industries, but they all have, SOLIDWORKS in common. It may be used differently, but the tool is essentially the same. And you can really master, prove your expertise with a certification. So the journey ahead may look strange. You may not, exactly, where to go, or you may see dark clouds up ahead, or rain curtains, what have you. Or you may get really bogged down with the project at work, and you're like, oh gosh, I really want to focus on the certification and obtain my, CSWA or CSWP. But sometimes, it's like driving through a small town, and you got to hit the brakes, and then you get up going again, and it could be very problematic. But we have different levels of certifications that we can offer. And so where do you start? Does anyone know the first level of certification that we have? The associate, yes. So the associate is where you go to, start off your certification journey. If you've taken any essentials class, or I highly recommend the training provided by our resellers. They can, especially the in-person training, because they can really instill their experience with the software, the tool. But this really proves your foundation of the tool, and it's going to test you on, as far as the mechanical design associate, the basic fundamentals of drawings, assembly, and part design. And then what about the next level? The next level of certification, yes. Yes, the CSWP, the Certified SOLIDWORKS Professional. So this is targeted to users who have mastered the fundamentals. You are very efficient at what you do, especially with equations and using the global variables, to drive your assembly, and really design for change. Being efficient at what you do, and understanding configurations, and how to, build an assembly top down or even bottom up. I know users online like Deepak. He said he does both, top down and bottom up. And the third level of certification, expert. Yes. So for the seasoned professionals, this is where you've demonstrated your high level of expertise, and there are other rigorous exams that you must take to get here, which we will talk about. By show of hands, do we have any experts in the room today? If you can please stand to be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. Yes, it's still working. Thank you. So how do you get to expert? Well, we have two paths that you can take. And the first one is for our CAD design. We have the CSWA Associate, and then the CSWP, which is the prerequisite. And then 4 of the 5 of these next certification exams will qualify you for the expert level certification. Sheet metal, drawing tools, weldments, surfacing, and mold making. I will say, if you don't have any mold making experience, just kind of stay away from that exam. Yeah, especially after I helped update that one. You really need industry knowledge beyond just SOLIDWORKS to really pass that one. But it also requires surfacing is involved. But for the CSWE expert, really, if you master the sheet metal, drawing tools, weldments, and surfacing, that'll put you in a well position to be able to take that expert exam. And then you can join us at the CSWE expert party at 3D Experience World next year. We go out of our way to really bring all the CSWEs together and recognize you for your hard work and achievements at 3D Experience World. And we have introduced last, I think this is 2 years old, fairly new, but we have a simulation expert that we now offer. And you can achieve a simulation expert by having passed the CSWP, the professional. But I always say, after today, we're going to be giving you all a free certification voucher. So at the end of this presentation, after Brad and Adam, you'll have an opportunity to take both the CSWA and CSWP plus any other exams that we carry, except the expert level exam. That's the only exam we can't give away for free or discount. But I will give you a pro tip. We do offer a free retake. So if you do go for the expert level exam and you fail, which I don't think you will, but in case you do, we do offer a free retake. You just reach out to us and we'll be happy to give you a free retake. Yes. Yes, the waiting period for the expert is still 90 days if you don't pass. Yeah, it used to be, I think, 6 months. Yeah. Yeah, the waiting period retake policy for the expert is 90 days. Okay, so I'll speak a little bit about the updates we've made in 2024 with their certifications. And with that, we've really gone, through and consolidated some of our exams, as well as, we've done some rebranding of the certification names. And, we offer SOLIDWORKS, if you're not aware, on the platform or with the platform. And with that, we did have a certification for both. We had a CSWA on the platform for 3D. We called it 3D Experience SOLIDWORKS. And then, of course, our desktop version of that, which is everyone knows, the mechanical design CSWA. But now, since the exam can be taken on both flavors of SOLIDWORKS, we pretty much consolidated those two to one exam, one certification. CAD design is what we're calling it. Still the same CSWA, but you got some more challenges in there that we combined from both, the platform and desktop, and it can be taken, they're essentially the same. As well as for the Certified SOLIDWORKS Professional exam, we've consolidated those as well. So either, with the platform or on the platform, you can take the CSWP with one exam, one certification. And some other rebranding, you'll notice these are all the 3D Experience certifications that we offer. The old name for these, we had 3D Experience in the name, such as 3D Experience 3D Creator, 3D Sculptor, 3D Mold Creator. Now we've gone to the brand name, so it's SOLIDWORKS 3D Creator, SOLIDWORKS 3D Sculptor, SOLIDWORKS 3D Mold Creator, and so forth. Likewise for the NC Shop Floor Programmer and Team Player, those are Dalmia brands. And so we went back down to the brand for those certifications. For our desktop certifications, the only real name change we made was for the CSWA, CSWP, and CSWE which it had mechanical design. It's now called CAD design. So SOLIDWORKS CAD design associate, SOLIDWORKS CAD design professional and expert. And you see, we have well over 15 different SOLIDWORKS certifications that we offer with base SOLIDWORKS. I want to give some free giveaways out really quick, but just for some fun, if we look at all of our certifications, all of our certified users around the world, I can tell you have over 800,000 certified users. Now, what do you think is the top 5 most, I guess, taken exam around the world? Starting with number 1, what do you think number 1 is? Who said that first? This guy over here? Oh, I got a free hat for you. Come on up. Hey, Kale, can you come up and help me? There you go. All right. How about number 2? What do you think number 2 is? Most taken certification exam that we have. Who said that? The blue shirt? There we go. Here's a hat, and I also got some gummies. We stopped at the gummy bear factory on our motorcycles on the way here. All right. What about number 3? What do you think number 3 is the most taken exam that we offer? I've heard so far CSWA is number 1 with 500,000. Number 2 is 120,000 CSWP certified users. What about number 3? I need to see a hand. Drawing tools. Is that? No, it's sheet metal. Okay, what about number 4? Drawing tools? Guy in the white shirt. Yes. There you go. I'll give this to the gentleman in the white shirt. Yeah. Over here. I got the order of them mixed up. All right. And how about number 5? I need to see a hand. Iron surfacing. No, that's not it. Weldments. No, that's not it. Blue shirt over here. PDM. No, not PDM. Number 5. I'll give you a hint. It's an associate level exam. Simulation, no. Electrical associate, no. Yes. Sustainability, no. Mechanical design, no, it's number 1. Who said additive manufacturing? Over here. Yes. Additive manufacturing was actually number 5. Thank you for playing. So I just want to thank you all for coming and joining us. Hopefully, a little more insight into our certification world and the certifications that we offer. Stick around to the end of the presentations. And for those of you online, there will be a QR code at the end that you can fill out. It's a short little survey that our presenters, share your feedback. But there'll be a gift card that we'll be handing out. Yes, we have a question here.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you had updated some of these tests, and some of us have taken these tests a long time ago. Was there any need to re-update, or is there a time frame that they're good for, or anything like that?
Our certifications do not expire, so we do update our exams, and if you wish to retake an exam just to freshen up your skills, we are more than able to help you do so. You can contact us. Oh, they took away my screen. Certification@solidworks.com, and we would be happy to offer you a free retake, or if you've taken the professional or the associate a long time ago, we've since updated it, and we'll be happy to give you a free retake at that exam. We may have to take away your old certification for you to reapply for the new one, but that's just a chance you're gonna have to take. Oh, here we go. Thank you. So certification@solidworks.com. you can contact me there, direct daniel.granillo@3ds.com. And you can discover more about our certifications at solarx.com/certifications. And I was just saying about the QR code, for everyone that fills out the survey, I'll be taking your email where we can provide you instructions on how you can redeem a free certification. And we'll be giving away both the CSWA, CSWP, and then any one of our other certifications to help kickstart your certification journey. Everything except the expert level exam is on the table for y'all. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Adam. Adam is going to speak to y'all on designing for manufacturing. This is a brand new presentation of his, and a round of applause for Adam.
Make it nice. Wow, this thing is being. Okay.
The HDMI, so I'm gonna try to get everything fixed, and you're running 4 screens. Sometimes PowerPoint doesn't like to play very well, so you usually have to flip back and forth. Make him you get everything jiving just right. So you'll bear with me just 1 second. While I'm doing that, Brad, do you want to talk a little bit about IronSWUG and maybe what IronSWUG is doing? Get some feedback.
Yep. All right. Hold on. Well, we'll just do it from here. You got it? All right, so I'll do IronSWUG real quick while we figure that out. All right, so IronSWUG is just a SolidWorks user group tour on 2 wheels. And with that, we get to go use our motorcycles, go to different presentations, or give good presentations, 5 each new per presenter.
That's the key to it, is we're not getting up here giving you some regurgitated bullcrap that you've heard 500 times. We're actually giving you authentic presentations that we've worked on over the course of a year, and you're getting brand new presentations at each stop that we go to.
Yes.
So yeah, so they're all brand new presentations. Each year we go to a different location. We travel, 1 year we went down into Florida and came back up. Last year was a really great ride. Went all the way to Boston to SolidWorks headquarters and ended there. Then ended the ride coming back home instead of looping, just rode back home, kind of like this one, because we're going so far out. And what was really cool about that is when we rode into Boston, guess who rode with us? GP and Manish on the back of a motorcycle. GP drove it or rode it, and Manish was on the back waving the SolidWorks IronSWUG flag. We're riding through campus of SolidWorks, and everybody's just cheering. So that was really cool.
All right, you're
Then
good.
we sat down and we gave thank you, Brad. Then we sat down and we gave a couple of presentations there, and they were really cool. Did one on motorcycle modeling mayhem and some different features and tools you can use, whether it be through SolidWorks or on the platform, or even cross-tangling those together, which is pretty neat. It was Brad and mine, first time we were there for the platform and how to use it and work with it. And kind of interesting. There were some useful tools there and how we collaborated between the 2 modes and between SolidWorks and the cloud. So that worked out pretty well. I think I've just about got through this. Let's see if we can.
There.
Greg, you want to
Fix the mic.
maybe a long trips are, and
Yeah.
the weather was bad. Everybody likes talking about the weather.
All right. So currently we're about 900 miles in to this. When we finish off tomorrow in Arcadia, we'll be around 1,200-ish miles. So round trip, we're doing 2,400 total. We started doing it in 2022 with 2,200 miles, 2,300 miles. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to do as many in a week. And so we've stopped doing it as a mileage challenge. Now it's just, let's hit these presentations and get them to the users that are out there and that want to see them. So we appreciate everybody coming out, enduring all the craziness that is bike night in front of the museum. But hopefully after we're done, everybody can go down there and enjoy some live music. I'm gonna see if I can find a burnout pit, because, you know, nothing says a good time like gratuitous tire smoke. All right.
Okay.
You got it?
I think we are in for the win, just in time. I'm glad we talked about burnout.
Yes.
Wheelies are also number one. If you see our thing we've been running with, our logo the last couple of years, it's been wheelies and, riding on the back of the motorcycle. But yeah, welcome to IronSWUG 2024, guys. We're really glad you've been here, or you are here, and, hopefully attend with us for the rest of the week, which is what I thought, maybe next year and the year to come. So this presentation, I kind of wanted to take it back a little bit, and I've done this on a couple presentations this year. The one I did yesterday, I feel was really kind of hand in hand with this one. Yesterday I did design again, right? Today I'm going to do design for manufacturing. Two things that sometimes as we either never really been taught or learned it, and moved past that point.
Washing out
Some
spray.
bad habits. We all know some of the people we probably work with. It's not ourselves, so we're looking at our own stuff, wondering what we're doing sometimes. But we kind of move away from it, maybe even lose sight of that sometimes. So I kind of revolve and come back to that because, in my opinion, those are two of the most fundamental things to have as a designer of one engineer, right? So design for manufacturing, the win-win, right? First, I want to start just by talking about myself. Throw a little bit about.
Make sure you're unmuted.
No, I'm muted. Thank you.
Glad I just started. Thank you.
You mute mine too.
Let me mute that one. Running 3 mics, 4 mics. Yeah, we're doing good.
Share your screen.
And share my screen. Thank you. I'm glad I've got somebody here.
Technical difficulties, SWUG.
Where are you? Make it bigger. Okay. I think that was over. Okay. Don't worry, guys. Online, you didn't miss anything that you haven't heard a couple of times this week. So the only regurgitated part I guess you do hear is who I am. So my name is Adam Ebernickel. I am a project designer in the product engineering department of Altec Industries. Been doing that for over 10 years, and a lot of the stuff you'll see on this slide is kind of goes hand in hand, correlates with that same time frame. I really enjoy working for Altec. They really invest in their employees, and I can tell that you guys invest in what you're doing, maybe your employees too, just from seeing you here tonight. We do, as David said, bucket trucks, a lot of stuff for utility companies, digger derricks, tree care, dump bodies for the tree care industry, and a lot of different stuff like that. So anything you can think of that utility companies use to keep the power on is kind of what we do. I also teach as an adjunct teacher, professor in the Applied Engineering Department of Mandl Community College. I've been doing that since about as long as I've been at Altec. Kind of found those guys about 5 minutes from the shop, and found out that they were really overwhelmed and inundated with all the stuff going on there, and so they asked me to come help them, and I've just enjoyed that as well. I like teaching and giving back. Around that same time frame, I became a leader of the Western North Carolina Asheville SolidWorks user group. It's really, again, it's just teaching, getting out there, leveling up my skills and learning from other people. So now that I can give back and do the same for others. And then right before COVID, I became one of the committee members for the SolidWorks user group network. So basically my stewardship is anything from Mississippi, Tennessee, down through the Caribbean, and just really trying to help support those user groups and keep them going, or help them with content, or if Dan doesn't give them their money back, I go fuss at him. And so just a lot of that kind of stuff. And also the Altec groups. We've got 10 groups within Altec right now, looking at bringing another one on. We've got a few more we're going to investigate. If you don't have a SWUG group in your company, I would suggest getting with Dan, myself, or one of us leaders. We can help you get a SolidWorks user group in your company. I think it's a great way to facilitate continuous education within your company and fine tune it and specify it to what you're doing where you're at. I think it's a great opportunity. SolidWorks champion as well. Started doing that when the program rolled out. We're trying to really be a little more particular about who we're involving in that, and got to be a CSWP and a lot of other prereqs for that. But if it's something you think you want to do, it's kind of like a SWUG group without the group. You're doing a lot of helping out the community and projects and testing software, that kind of stuff. Matt Clegg runs that. He does a great job with it. But if you want to investigate that, go to Google and just type in SolidWorks champions. You'll find stuff for it and applications for it and stuff. So check that out. And then again, SolidWorks certified expert. So just like a couple of you guys out there, I got that. It took not too long, but long enough to where I was doing that thing Daniel was talking about, going 70 and then running 20 because a project came due, and then going 70 and then back to 50. And then my boss put it on my review, and I said, okay, I've got to get it done now. So yeah, he knew I was only one away. I think I had the surfacing and the expert to do, and he knew I was just kind of doing the other work. And so he's like, maybe if I put this on him, he'll do it. And if you're like me, when something's over my head, I've got to take care of it. It can't be hanging there for long. So let's talk about some key takeaways for what we're going to talk about in my presentation. Number one, let's talk about what is design for manufacturing. What is that? What does it mean? Number two is going to be use, implementation, and DFX, not to be confused with DXF. And then some of the key benefits of design for manufacturing. So one, what is design for manufacturing, or DFM? Well, let's go back and let's look at that acronym. The first one I talked about, the DFX, not DXF. Does anybody know what DFX stands for? It stands for Design for Excellence, right? It's basically where X is kind of a value or a variable. If you're looking at it as an equation, right? The X is just a variable that can be substituted for a lot of different things, right? It's a philosophy, it's an idea, a way to manage design, right? And so when we look at that, the X is a variable, and we could change it up. We can put almost anything in place for it, because the key thing is design for excellence. We can say, well, maybe it's designed for manufacturability. Maybe it's designed for power. Maybe it's designed for variability, cost, yield, or even reliability, right? So we can look at that design and take it and put it in its each context and design for that specific measurability, right? For that focus. And so then we look at this and we see all kinds of things that can come out of it, even design for power, design for being DFP, design for variability being DFV, design for cost being DFC. So that X is interchangeable. Now here we're going to talk about the design for manufacturing, the DFM, but I also maybe want to touch a little bit about DFA, design for assembly, because I feel like those also go hand in hand, right? Because if you're designing for manufacturing, you should be designing for assembly too, right? So with DFM, design for manufacturing or assembly, right, is going to help you make sure you're designing a great system, a product output that should have good utility, function, and should not have any concessions with quality or long-term dependability. That's the key. So overarching, this is what we're going to think about through the whole spiel, right? Is that when you design for manufacturing, you're doing it in such a way that you're making your output go through smoother, and we'll talk about cost and all that stuff too, but making sure you are not making any concessions on quality or long-term reliability. Okay. The process of design, designing products at a minimum cost without compromising the performance. That's the ultimate goal. This slide, when I was looking through different things for this presentation, this one actually really caught me, just the number, the sheer number. 70%. Your design choices as an engineer or a designer contribute significantly to the cost. That 75% of the final cost, whether the process, the materials, all that is going to factor up to all that stuff, right? And then the rest kind of comes in with the rest of the processes. So when design choices are made on a large scale manufacturing under consideration, the cost of production is going to be dramatically changed depending on what you do, what you choose. So think about that. Everything you do as a designer or engineer, 70% of the whole process is relied on you. That feels like it could be a lot of weight on our shoulders, right? This slide I wanted to bring in because it kind of shows the flow of what you're doing and what they're doing, what you're designing and how it's being manufactured, and kind of that flow. So the initial design comes in, right? And you get the brunt of the work, right? The work order comes in, whatever it is comes in for you to work on the project you're doing, and you feel the brunt end of that, right? It takes a while for you to flesh out your process and start moving it from your table, from your desk out to manufacturing. But notice as you do that, right, it starts coming down for you, but then it starts scaling back up for manufacturing. And when you look at it, and you kind of see the blue's actually a little higher on that side because they're going to constantly be touching it, when you're kind of dwindling out of the phase a little bit more. And the cycle is on revisions too. When you have to go back and change something, this is like a cycle. It comes back to you. But does anybody notice anything different, or anybody notice anything about the red and the blue? Even though it gets smaller, what does it never do? Change. It never really goes away. Your design obligation is still there. What about on this side in your phase of it? What do you see on this side? The manufacturing side's right there with you. It may not be very big, and that's something I hope to hit home today too, but manufacturing should be involved in your processes, in your design. Your relationship between what you're doing and what they're doing should be unanimous. It should be together. You should be holding hands through the process, right? And if you're not, I want to maybe shame on you, right? Because those guys are, if you're not, those guys are itching in the shop to come in and give you a wealth of knowledge, right? Or a butt chewing, and that butt chewing could end up being a wealth of knowledge, right? So think of that and kind of keep this in your mind too. Okay. So first I want to talk about some of the principles of DFM. Each company, wherever you go, they could have a lot of different stuff that they talk about for this. I'm going to talk about some of the ones I feel like are some of the more standard ones, and maybe throw an extra one in there that I feel like should be part of the standard ones. So let's look at that. We're going to talk about process. We're going to talk about design. We're going to talk about materials, environment, testing, and continuous improvement. That continuous improvement is the one that I kind of added to the more standard list, I guess you could say. And again, if you go to different companies, they'll tell you different things. Some will be similar, some will be added in or removed or whatever. So let's first look at process, right? Use the right manufacturing process is very important when you do that, right? So I'm going to say SWUG, right? We all love SWUG. And that's the only reason I picked this example from a company that I was in I guess learning with or whatever back in, co-oping years. But instead of SWUG, we called it SWAGing. Anybody know what SWAGing is? It's a kind of a manufacturing process. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like a drawing out, kind of like a stamping in a way, but not. So, but the phrase is when the niche works for you, right? When it works for you, because what you do at one place, at one manufacturing facility, is not going to be the same as what somebody else does, right? Unless you can compare those processes and get them fine-tuned a little bit more. But this SWAGing process is what this company was using for little electrodes, like little pins on a plug, right? Like a Deutsch connector or something like that. And looked at it and said, okay, well, we can machine these, or maybe we can stamp these. And we put it in a graph and we said, okay, well, if we machine them, the cost per unit is going to go up higher because it's going to take a lot longer to do it. And we're having to machine them, of course, right? But if we stamp them, the tooling cost and lead time could go out, because then we got to build dies and all this stuff, right? And have manufacturing around that, maybe even bring in a third party to help us build those dies and stuff like that and design them. Find somebody with mold making certification, right? But then they came to an agreement, and you can kind of see where these bubbles overlap, where they said SWAGing is the way to go. It takes a little bit of that machine process, a little bit of that stamping process, puts it together, and basically these electrodes kind of come down. If you've ever seen how nails are made, sometimes cold made, when they cold press nails, they kind of just clip them and they stamp the ends on them and they process them down through. And it's kind of the same, because it's a little bit of a stamping and extrusion process. They take this like bigger diameter pipe, and as they push it through, it's kind of crimping it smaller and smaller and putting the rolls into it till it gets to the end and it finally cuts it off, right? And so that was the process that they deemed would work the best. It was able to be utilizing lower capitalization and become a more effective production process. And so that could be anything, whether for, like, say, Altec, it could be fabrication with lasers, punches, plasmas, even so much as to not just the process of the one part, but where does that part go next, right? Do you have to fabricate it and on a laser in one location and then take it clear across the shop or ship it to the facility down the road? You know, think about that process. Think about who's getting it next and how maybe you fine tune the flow through your factory. And there's some really cool tools out there that SolidWorks is using now to be able to scan your facility and move things around and rearrange them to fine tune that flow, right? So this is one example I really love to use. Somebody used this with me when I first came into engineering, and it's stuck with me ever since. Gonna ask you guys, can you see this picture? What do you see is wrong in this picture? Feet are too small? Okay, well, that might work. Wrong shoes on the wrong feet. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Wrong shoes on the wrong feet. If anybody's ever taught kids how to put their shoes on, everybody knows they've got a 50-50 shot of putting the right shoe on the right foot. But what inevitably happens? The wrong shoe goes on the wrong foot. Think about when you design something and it goes to the shop floor and they call you and says, this isn't fitting right. And you walk out there and they've got it flipped backwards or on the wrong side of the part or whatever else happens, right? And so think about that. Think about making parts universal or putting some kind of plug or something in place to know that, hey, it doesn't go here, it goes here, right? And we'll get a little bit more into that. I think I got an example after this slide I'm gonna show when it comes to that stuff. And then that also leads into KISS, no, not the band, right? But keeping it simple, stupid, right? I know, or keep it simple, silly. Let's go there. Let's be nice, right? Keep it simple, silly. In terms of cost, manufacturing, and using all these things, and even maintenance on what you're designing, right? Keep it simple. I know Brad got a really fun project that he had to do right before he hit IronSWUG, right? He went to change the oil on his motorcycle, on his Harley, and so there's some metal flakes, and he's like, dang it, I'm not taking that this time, right? I'm gonna have to put a new motor in. And Brad borrowed a good buddy, loaned him a motorcycle, a Honda Valkyrie. Well, that Honda Valkyrie's carbs were gummed up, and it's a 6-cylinder, and the 6 cylinders were in line, and he had to practically take the entire bike apart just to get the heads off of it, have them swapped out for new heads, and then put the new ones on. Was that fun, Brad? No, wasn't fun at all. So think about the end user. Think about your guys next in the line, right? And what they're doing. And that leads to the next thing is optimize the fit. Don't try and put a square peg in a round hole, right? The process should take tolerances and materials into account. Now, we don't want to overdo it, right? We don't want to take too much tolerance into account because then we get a lot of slop and play and things like that. But don't try and put a square peg in a round hole. Make things to where they fit, they line up, and it makes sense. Not just for you. Sometimes it's nice when you're sitting in a cubicle or a bullpen area and you turn to your buddy and say, Brad, you think they'll figure this out? Because sometimes we get blindsided. We get tunnel vision and we want to do it our way and one way. And sometimes we get a little defensive because we love what we do. So we get defensive about what we're doing. And then it's, it's done that way and it gets to the shop floor and it maybe not be the best thing. And the funny thing is, and I know you guys probably experience this if you're in my shoes or have manufacturing processes like we do, sometimes you never hear how much a headache your design was. Sometimes they grit their teeth and bear with it. And then that's where it was said just a minute ago, you might get a butt chewing if you go out there and talk to them. They may really tell you what they feel, and that's good. They should, right? They should. And so, yeah, keep it simple. Make it understandable, not just for you, but for people around you. If you ever have a question, don't feel like you're an idiot just because you asked the guy behind you to take a look at it or because you went out and talked to the guy that's putting it together, what he thinks, right? And that leads to my next topic, get to know your customer. Talking about your end customer, just like I mentioned Brad, but I'm also talking about your internal customers. Get to know those guys that touch it next. Get to know the guys that are ordering your product, right? That are trying to reach out and find out a lead time's 10 months out and you need it in 3 months, right? and how you could have actually picked something from McMaster-Carr, even though it's a little more expensive, or something from somewhere else and got it, or even the guy down the street, maybe Fastenal has it, right? And so they can get something a little bit different than what you put in your design because it's very similar, the same, right? So know your customer. Know that that communication, that door being open between you and those individuals is going to help more than anything, right? I mean, it could be as simple as like if you're doing sheet metal and there's a minimum flange distance. We even went as far just recently at my facility. We always have a fabrication kind of guide we go by. And it says, hey, you may not want less than 3/4 of a bend edge flange on something on a piece of sheet metal this thick, right? And that was fine. But then we had somebody go talk to them and they said, yeah, that's fine. But you know what happens when we get to that? It actually has a potential of slipping off the back of the die and catching somebody's fingers or their gloves. That's a huge safety hazard, right? And so what is it off our back to say, okay, now you don't want to do it at a 1/2 inch. You want to do it at, 17/30 seconds. You want to add a 30-second to it just to make that guy feel more confident about what he's doing every day. He doesn't feel like he's going to get his fingers bit, right? Or using tab and slots, knowing that you can use tab and slots and fit things together. Not only does that save them being able to put it together and save their time, but that saves you headache. When you do tab and slots and you do them in such a way and things fit together, you can use reference dimensions, right? And instead of regular dimensions, and say I reference this is a couple inches off the side or off the edge, and then they just click together. It's like Legos when we were kids, right? And so it goes together and you don't have to worry about going out there later finding a part backwards, right? Because your tabs and slots fit up just right. Cleco holes, that's another thing. If you got things being welded together or manufactured, or even pin holes, if you got dies or blocks that are going together, use pin holes, lofts and drafts, fillets and radiuses, certain fasteners and welds, right? And then there's also, like I said, slots and tabs, and then there's also some software that's inside SolidWorks. It's an add-in, automatically in your SolidWorks version. If you kind of go into your tools and look at that and you see Express Products, there's DriveWorks in there, shout out for DriveWorks. But there's also DFM Express. They can go in and it'll actually help give some recommendations and help designers for some basic sets of rules for drilling, milling, and tuning, give you some parameters on different configurations, graphical user interface, some seamless integrated stuff into SolidWorks. A lot of people don't even know that's in SolidWorks, and that's a free add-in tool that you can just turn on, right? So I want to just jump over to SolidWorks and talk about, show just a few use cases of some of those things. Let's start. Yeah, we'll start here. Why not? This is a bolt bend that I did for one of my customers. And the process of getting things through the shop sometimes. Anybody have something where you manufacture on one side, then you paint it and you have to assemble or do something on the other side? Show of hands, anybody do that in their facility? Yeah. How awesome is it when you get to the other side and the little parts, you can't find them anymore? They're missing. They're MIA after they went through paint, right? I know a lot of places I've worked that's happened to. And so this was a part that really didn't need to be painted, right? So we did it out of aluminum. And instead of doing it on the other side of the facility, we did it on the side of the facility where things are actually put together, right? And so they cut it, punched it, pulled it all out. And then we put holes to align stuff, right? We put some slots and tabs in there to help do some alignment. And then we clinched it together. A little machine, almost like a self-riveting machine that pinches the metal together, right? And then when we said that we wanted these dividers in there, look what we did there. We actually provided some slots and let them slide in place. Use some little dies on our punch to put lances in, so it just slid right in place there. That way they didn't have to measure and get that perfectly center. It would just slide in place, right? And then of course we just kind of put this on either side, put little rivets in there, and then used a nut to hold it in. And now it didn't even have to go through paint. It's aluminum. And it looks kind of pretty too. It's nice and shiny and silvery looking, you know. Customer likes it. Didn't have to go through paint. Didn't have to worry about losing a bunch of little pieces, right? And instead of using a piece of rod, we just used a piece of threaded rod. That's why the nut's on there, because in order to take rod and make sure it didn't have any burrs or anything on it, may have took a little bit longer. So why not buy threaded rod? It's really cheap, and put it on there, and they can hold their washers or nuts on it, right? Let's look at this one. This is a floor design using some notches here. And if I show this as transparent, I can see what I'm doing. We can see these little hat sections, right, to stiffen up the floor, to keep it from tin canning and warping all over the place. Of course, they're still going to have to pull tape measures, but at least see these little V notches in here? It's just an indication point for them to line up with and know exactly where it goes. So really, they're kind of putting these main runners in here where they go, and they take these and just align with it. Right? So that's another way. Or when we talk about assembly, when this goes and gets plumbed up with different wires or hoses, right? We actually put a tray in here for them to lay that stuff on, right? Just to be able to tuck it in place. This one is another example of some slots and tabs and cleco holes more than anything. And cleco holes are something when you go to weld, it basically you put a pin in place and it kind of crimps the two together. It's not kind of like a mechanical fastener, but temporary. So it just kind of holds them in place, and then you can go around and weld it, almost like a clamp in a way, right? So you add these cleco holes in place, and you go ahead and pin it all together almost like Legos, and they take the welder and you weld it up, right? Then we use these pins, and we've changed this design quite a bit. We used to use threaded rod. We'd screw the nuts on. That never really worked out right and caught up things. Then we went to these caps. Anybody ever seen the red? I'm sure people have seen the red flyer wagons, little red wagons, had those little white caps on the wheels. We went with that for a little while. That worked, but then they were getting nailed or hammered in too tight, and they'd pinch it, and sometimes it'd roll good, sometimes it wouldn't. So then we just went with a simple process: just put a hole in it and pin it, right? Put a little clevis pin in. So thinking around, and again, would we have known this if we didn't go out and put our hands on it and talk with the guys that are building it and understand what frustrations they're having? So then we talk about principles of design for manufacturing. We'll talk about some of the materials, right? So know you have the right material for the job, right? Whether you got corrosion issues, is it going to be near the ocean, near salt, and a lot of things we have taken consideration with Altec when our trucks are going up north, if they're going to be in places that have a lot of snow and ice, because there's salt on the roads all the time. So how do we combat that with certain materials? Are we going to use stainless or aluminum or fiberglass or whatnot? So thinking about that, and then physical density and conductivity of materials, right? You don't want to use, say, metal if somebody's going to work up on a power line, right? You may want to have some kind of insulator in there, right? Or optical or acoustics. Well, think if they didn't have the volume for Brad to go turn down, and I was just sending feedback the whole time, right? So thinking about that kind of stuff, elasticity, yield, because especially when you're doing sheet metal, there's a lot of yield in metal, and other products have yield too. But when you're fabricating something, knowing that there's spring back in that metal, and that when you fold it to a certain angle, it may not hold that. It may have more spring back than another material, understanding that. Hardness, toughness, and then size and shape. This is one that I'd really like to jump on a soapbox for just a second, size and shape. Don't just give something overkill because you're worried it's going to break, because then you just increased your weight. You've increased whatever shipping costs might be there. You've increased maybe the safety factor for the employee picking it up and moving it around. The cost has definitely went up all the way around it, right? And so make sure you're using the right size, the right material for the job, whether it be structural, mechanical, flammability, conductivity, thermal properties, all that stuff all the way around. And that leads into environmental. Make sure you're using the right stuff for the right place it's going to. Like I mentioned, going up north and salt and stuff like that. But you must take every operating condition into account. Here's another example on the road trip. We was riding up through Indiana yesterday evening, right before we stopped at the gummy bear factory and grabbed a bite to eat. And my motorcycle screen, I've got a motorcycle screen on the front. It tells me my GPS and all that good stuff on it, and it's working just fine. Still works, I think, but working just fine. And it was blistering. I swear it felt like 105 coming up the interstate yesterday. And we pulled off and everything's fine. We go in and eat after the gummy bear factory and we come back out. And Brad's son, Kel, looks at my screen and says, Adam, is your screen cracked? I'm like, no, no, it's not cracked. Yeah, whoa, my screen's cracked. So it cracked my screen from the corner down. And the only thing I can assume, it just got so hot when the environment riding down the interstate, the screen decided to crack on it. The only thing I could think of, because then it got pretty, not cooled off too much, but it cooled while I was in the restaurant and sun was starting to go down. So make sure you're using the right material for the right job, and that all parts of the product must be able to perform to those conditions in the environment that they are in. And then, of course, using testing to prove that out and know what's going on there. And it needs to be thorough. The products need to make sure they comply with the industry standards, right? We use industry standards at Altec too. I'm sure a lot of people do, maybe ISO or ANSI or whatever that may be, but making sure they apply to those standards in each stage of your process of your design. Now, these standards may be ANSI or ISO or whatever, but they may be also internal standards too. They could be industry standards, internal standards, or just standards, you know, based around what your company thinks that they should be. Arai, anybody know what Arai motorcycle helmets are? Amazing helmets, amazing helmets. And what makes them so much or so sought after and so amazing is because not only do they comply to the normal industry standards of this is DOT safe, but they go the extra mile. They make sure they're safe above that measure, and that's all they care about. They don't care about the cost. They don't care about the look. They care about the safety of the person that's using that helmet. I prefer a modular helmet that I can throw up, and I usually prefer no helmet or half helmet. That's my prerogative, my choice. But I will throw a modular helmet on when it's cool or it's raining. I like to flip it up so I can grab a drink or talk to somebody or whatever and pop it back down. But you know, Arai will not even make a modular helmet because, not that they can't, they tried, they did it. It complied with DOT standards and stuff and Snell standards, but it didn't go that extra measure and apply to their standards, right? They set the bar higher for themselves. And that's why that motorcycle helmet is so sought after, right? And so looking at this, you got to make sure it meets the fidelity of the product, the concept, the features, and the usability. Kind of use this graph as kind of just a flow chart of maybe what you might want to do when you're looking at that. I know that, you know, design fidelity refers to the level of detailing the functionality and includes even in the prototype, right? The fidelity can vary from the interactivity, the visuals, the content, the commands, and all other areas of your product. This is the one I wanted to throw in there. Does anybody do continuous improvement where they're at? Hopefully, yeah. I think it's big. I think continuous improvement is a great way to fine tune your process. Not just the product, but your process and work for the people around you. That's one thing I definitely love about working for Altec is we are big on continuous improvement. We run RCIs. I know Mac's been to one of our RCIs just on SolidWorks, right? Mac, we sat there for a week and tried to break SolidWorks, didn't we? All week. We had guys come from around the company just to break SolidWorks before we rolled it out to the rest of our engineers. Right. And so that's just an example of what you can do with the shop. You can say, you know, you can take one process of your product and bring it in-house, take it maybe for a week and just talk about it, talk through it. What's the ups and downs? How will this be easier for you to manufacture? And it's a meeting of the minds, and it helps open that door of communication between you guys and the guys on the other side of the wall, people like to call it, right? Break down that wall. Continuous improvement refers to the ongoing effort to enhance processes, goods, and services either through small incremental steps or bigger steps through time, and then achieve those breakthrough developments that could happen all at once as well. But they may not. Even the small steps we'll go through. Think about if you refine your process and you go talk to each individual that has a hand in that, and you bring maybe the QA, the quality guy, you bring the fabricator, you bring yourself, you bring safety, you bring assembly, You bring all these people together for a week and just try and figure it out. Put your master of the minds, right? Think about what we could do and how far we could get if we just did that with each process, and how much time and money you can save in that product. The backbone of all successful manufacturing operations is continuous improvement, and in this context means searching for and resolving defects, deviations, and other bottlenecks within your plant in order to improve the production process. Anybody know what PDCA is? Plan, do, check, and act. So you plan, you identify the opportunities for improvement to create and have a plan of action. Do, implement that plan on a small scale and isolated. Then you check by measuring changes and using data to determine the plan, if the plan was effective. And then you act based on that data to implement the change on a larger scale, or go back and try and relook at those small changes you may want to redo. Right? So PDCA, plan, act, or plan, do, check, act. Right? So remember that. All right, so some of these key benefits, let's break those down just a little bit. So we're going to look at cost reduction and increased profits, short time to market, improved product quality, streamlined product improvement processes, streamlined product development processes, smoother manufacturing processes, and easier to scale up production. Anybody know the difference between cost cutting and cost reduction? Cost cutting, in my opinion, is not a good thing. You want to go for cost reduction. Cost cutting just goes in and just starts cutting ties with things and cutting it out and saying this isn't important, we don't need it, and we're just going to throw it away. That's your cost cutting. Cost reduction is a little bit different. I'll get and explain that, but even though they may sound different, they are extremely different as pennies and dollars, right? Cost cutting is a quick fix in your wallet, is the way I've written this definition down here. Quick fix in your wallet. On the other hand, cost reduction is a long-term game changer. It's about making your business more efficient and profitable, right? Cost cutting refers to primarily eliminating wasteful expenses or making cuts in response to budget constraints, often targeting unnecessary expenses. On the other hand, cost reduction involves a more strategic approach amid the reducing unit cost without compromising, this goes back to the DFM part of it, right? Without compromising the product quality, the usability, the service, the delivery, all that stuff. So you're basically taking, instead of cost cutting and just getting rid of things, you're saying, I'm going to make the same product, right? All I'm going to do is make it more efficiently to reduce that cost and make a better product, and I'm not eliminating that quality or anything like that, right? And that's where DFM can really shine. Well, for the company, on the company side, the money side of it, right? The other side is making sure things are happening more efficient anyway, and making people happier in their lives and jobs easier, but also it's going to save you money because you're doing things more easier. And so as you see this work out, you'll see the cost reduction come down and the quality of efficiency skyrocket. And that's the trend we want to see, right? So design for manufacturability can significantly reduce that cost, such as a cost-effective properties of the operator to be able to run and turn an improvement profitability by increasing the ROI, the return on investment. Alternatively, the manufacturing companies may transfer the benefit to low-cost customers and competitive markets. And that's what we want to try and refrain from doing, right? We want to try and keep it in-house, keep what we're doing, if we can, of course, and get that better ROI by reducing the cost and bring that efficiency and that quality up. It also gives us a shorter time to the market. If we're going out there, we're making communications with those guys on the floor and the people that are manufacturing or assembling it, and they're able to, say, use those slots and tabs to plug it together, right? Or use some kind of locating feature. We also like to use etching sometimes. Etching is another good tool if you have the ability to do that. and they can locate that. Think of how much time that saves us versus going and pulling a tape measure and marking off all those locations when they can just pop it in place, right? As most of design and manufacturing issues are addressed and nearly in the early stages of the design process, fewer issues crop up during the actual manufacturing process, right? So this does reduce that time. And that's why I was talking about at the very beginning, if you get those guys involved earlier in the design game, then there's less chances for you to probably have to push those ECs and engineering change orders and stuff later on, because you've already got them involved and they know what's going on. Plus it helps the process go through smoother because you're already involving them and they know what needs to happen too, right? You may have the best idea in the world. I like to use the convert to sheet metal tip whenever I'm talking about my advanced sheet metal presentation, that you can go in here and you can take a cool feature or a cool shape and you can convert all the entities around that shape. But if you don't have a way of splitting it and doing it, you'll never manufacture it. We can design all day long, but we can design ourselves into a corner where it can never be manufactured, right? And if we do this, it's going to be shorter, right? We're going to pick their brains. We're going to know how to get it through quicker. Quality is going to be our next one here, and of course that quality does go up. We're doing that plan, do, check, act. We're going through the process. We're making sure that our performance, our surface finishes, our tolerance, our reliability, our aesthetics, all that stuff is in place by doing design for manufacturing and stuff. So streamline product development process, right? Parts design, final quality, manufacturing process, components and materials, ease of distribution, and et cetera, right? So a smoother manufacturing process, again, it's just going through smoother. You're setting things up in place, using some of those tools like say Delmia and stuff, and doing some shop floor assembly type flows type stuff. It's going to really help you out there and make that process a little smoother, and how it goes through, because you know where it's going. You're not losing parts in paint. And then of course this can help you scale up or scale out, right? If you just do it and you're bullheaded the whole time and you're just throwing your designs out there expecting them to chalk it up and do their job. And I had a guy I once heard, and I was like, what are you freaking saying, dude? He said, well, that's why we give them drills. Well, I sure it is, but I tell you what, it'll take him a lot longer to drill 50 holes on 50 bodies than it would if you just decide to go out there and put it in your model and it gets punched on or lasered out, right? I mean, think about that. Thought it was the most idiot thing I could hear. Somebody say, that's why we gave drills, right? And that's not a lie. I mean, we do give them drills and drills to help out, but it's not to compensate for our inefficiencies, right? For our lack and our inability to help work with that. And when you do that, you put so much work on the back end of the process, that short lead time, that time to market is going to grow by so much. Everybody's just going to outdo you, and they're going to get the product out there, and you're going to be sitting in the wake of their boat splash, right? And so, yeah, you scale up, you can scale out. You can work yourself into more business, or you can work yourself out of business. I always like to throw this at the end of my presentations. You'll notice this about me. I use 2 slides at the end of my presentation. They're the same 2 at the beginning. The ones at the beginning is kind of the opening slide and who I am. The ones at the end is the notes and my call to action. But if I was you as me, what kind of notes would I have taken? Would have been design is 70% of the overall process. That's a huge number. Learn the processes, not just your processes, all the processes that it takes to design your product. Reduce waste and cost. By doing that, we're going to be able to scale up and not scale out, and make ourselves more efficient, and use cost reduction, and not when the boss comes down saying we're cost cutting and your job's got to go, right? Keep it simple and use the right material for the right job. Now, my call to action is to be mindful of your design. Work with those that fabricate. Work with your customer, your internal customers, and create a better design. Now, Steve Jobs says design is not just what it looks like and feels like, but design is how it works. And Albert Einstein said that the best design is the simplest one that works. And I'll open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Scientific method, but with different words at the tip.
PDCA
scientific method.
So, yeah, same as the scientific method.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was asking if it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a scientific
Seems like it
method.
is.
It could be. It could be. I don't know. You might be right. Yeah. It's just an acronym I've kind of heard off and on. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Then retest.
Gotcha. So kind of like the hypothesis, like scientific method of like proving out whether something is sustainable, putting it in a controlled environment and working through that process.
Yeah, I guess
So
without
I think, yeah.
the controlled environment. part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very similar. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Cool. That's a good way of thinking of it. I like that. Any other questions? Nope. All right, just real quick, this is me, my contact information, my user group, WNCA, or Western North Carolina Asheville user group. You guys can scan that if you ever want to join. I do some hybrid meetings if something comes up and people decide they want to see them and see the meeting that we're doing. And they're not from local and they sign up for it, I'll put a hybrid meeting together. It doesn't bother me to throw a camera up in front of a presenter. They might not like it, but it doesn't bother me. So anyway, that's my presentation. I really do appreciate it. I think I'm supposed to turn the time over. We're going to take a break. Maybe, I don't know, David, correct me what we're doing next.
Yeah, we've got about 5-10 minutes or so.
Let's do 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I think if there's still any food around, feel free to indulge. Otherwise, if anybody has any good examples of, like any specific things you've done in your design to make your products more manufacturable, I think we got.
Yeah. Radius is on everything. Yeah, that's a good thing with the slot and tabs, and I should have probably zoomed in on that a little bit more with my example that I was showing, is having radiuses or chamfers or something, because when you go to throw those slots and tabs together and you do it, you definitely don't want to do it on the money, right? You want to give them a little fluff, but those radiuses and chamfers and stuff, they'll slide right into place a lot better. If you're doing molding, you definitely need to create radiuses or drafts. Yes, thank you. Drafts. I was going to say lots, but drafts. And then of course, if you're CNCing though, you may want to think about whether you're doing radiuses or sharp corners, and maybe if the machinist is going to come punch you because you did it wrong. So yeah, for sure, that's a good one. I like that. Radiuses on everything. Yeah.
No, I've done some stuff where earlier in my career, I was designing something for like a capped aluminum box. It was like an electrical box, basically, about the size of a shoebox. And all of our installers, all the cables that go in and out, they had to be waterproof. So there'd be these cable glands that they'd have to install. They'd have to hold the thing down with one hand and try to tighten in the cable glands with another one. But that meant they had to have like a third hand for the backing up.
Yeah.
So the next time I went around to design a cast aluminum box, I purposely made sure that I used SolidWorks to cast in like basically a little hex nut feature into the casting itself, so that the people on the shop floor wouldn't have to have that third hand.
I love that. And then just to speak to what you just said, because I had a similar instance
Not too long ago.
It's not too long ago.
David
So David Mandel was talking about somebody needing almost 3 hands to fulfill a task and doing something to modify his design. I'm just speaking for Zoom out there, and doing something to modify it to where they didn't need 3 hands. They actually was able to do it the same way. I had a compartment, and this is just me, I didn't add in manufacturing, I guess, at the beginning of the design, and I just sent it out there in a hurry to get my job out. And because I have that relationship with the floor, they felt like they could just call me and, hey, say, can you update this and change them? Oh yeah, sure, I'll take care of it, no problem. But what I was doing is I was putting a little wire cover on the inside of one of our truck body compartments, right? And to me, that's no problem. Put it in there, throw the bolt in, it's fine. But his arm wasn't long enough to reach to the outside and put the nut on the back. So he needed an extra person to be on the back to hold the nut for him to put the bolt through. And it was as simple as just adding a weld nut to the back side of the plate.
From just watching somebody put something together for about 10 minutes. I was supposed to be on the shop floor for like 2 hours. I was out there for 10 minutes and I already had a good idea for my next design.
Yeah, and when you talk about time to market, or you talk about cost reduction and being more efficient, what's more efficient than reducing one man from one job because he had to go back and hold it up for somebody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go back to your slide, the red and the blue manufacturing and engineering?
I sure can. I think
one of the truisms that you'll find is,
I know there's a hotkey that you can actually pull up and see all your slides. Can't remember what it is right now.
you'll get there.
I got there.
So you know how you talked about having manufacturing involved initially?
Mm-hmm.
The more you get manufacturing involved initially, so the higher that blue is on the left, the lower it is on the right.
Definitely. I completely agree. So Mac Rasmussen said from Go Engineering that with this slide right here, the more you involve manufacturing in the beginning, the less they have to work on that process in the end. Yeah. Very good point. I love this slide because it really shows a good depiction of that handoff from the engineering or designer to the manufacturing, and how much they still need to play a role on both ends. Even when on this end, even though it's all the way out there, you're not out of the woods forever, right? And I love it because, and I don't know if anybody else is in here. See, I know Brad's seen this before, but it'll be 10 years. My product will be sitting out in the shop floor 10 years, and somebody will come to me, man, you forgot a bend dimension. How did that sit out there for 10 years before somebody came and told me there was not a bend dimension on that print, and they was just going into SolidWorks doing a measurement? Think about it, every time they had to pull that model up just to find that measurement, because they didn't come say nothing to me, and I just wasn't thinking about it, right? Because it was so old. And actually, some of those are people from before my time that I just inherited into their parts into my job, right? Yeah, so that's so true. I mean, you're never out of the woods, even 10 years later. You're still going to deal with something. It took 10 years for them to complain about it. That's it. And we don't want that. That's the thing. If we can nip that in the bud and get them involved in the beginning, we don't have to worry about that. And a lot of times they don't come tell you because they don't know they can. Right? Or they just feel like it's easier just to do it. And because I know I worked with this one person, it wasn't the same person that said, hey, that's why we buy them drills for, but this person, nobody wanted to deal with her. Like the shop wouldn't even call her, because if she went out there, she was like, no, this is me. I'm the engineer. You just do what I say to do. And that is not the attitude to have. Right. I'm glad she's not with us anymore, or with the company anymore. Let me phrase that. Not with the company anymore. We didn't put her down, I promise. Bless her heart. Yeah, we're from the South. Bless her heart. Got one in the back.
Do it, assembling for the first time. I had a job early in my career in automotive assembly or an automotive supplier in Michigan. And the first thing they did was put me out in the plants for 2 solid weeks. They had 5 plants in the area. And I mean, I worked line after line after line, and it was so valuable of an experience that every job since I would request that, hey, can I go work out in your shop for a while? You can network, you right away get to know some people. They see your picture come across, their little email, but then when they see you, and hey, there's the new guy, and I mean, it's super valuable to do that. I found that was really useful to me. But later on in my career, many years later, like several jobs in, I talked to my first boss, and I found out why they did that. The real reason was he actually forgot he hired me. Everybody was surprised.
That's awesome.
It's still a good process to do, because I learned so much about what makes a good design and what doesn't, and then it was an ongoing thing, and I still spend time on.
So the gentleman in the back of the room just mentioned when he first started one of his jobs, he spent 2 weeks in the shop just to learn some of the processes, because what you don't know, right? And so spending time in the shop helped him out. And I really like that, because and I keep going back to Altec. I love Altec's enthusiasm and mentality behind a lot of this stuff. And that's kind of what we do with Altec. When people start, we put them in the shop for the first week and let them during different times, and they flow through different processes so they can see that. And actually, a lot of our facilities have started hiring more from within on the shop floor for people that go through the engineering and design process to get that kind of influence into the office as well. So yeah, I really like that. I remember when I did my first internship, and this blew my mind. And so seeing it from Altec was just a night and day difference. When I did my first internship, I did it for a company called Edwards and Associates, which is now owned by Bell Helicopters. We did a lot of aeronautical accessory stuff. And it was about midway through my internship, and I didn't have a lot to do that day. And I just asked my direct person over me if I could just go out and see some of the different processes and just kind of shadow people. And I did that. And the next day I came in, the main engineering manager called me in his office, and I think he was from Canada or somewhere because he had an accent that I remember. He called me in his office. He's like, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Why are you out there wasting our engineering time?" And I was like, "Hey, buddy, I had permission." That's all. I mean, I was very young at the time, and I'm like, he told me I could, you know. But in my mind, I thought it was beneficial for me to understand the processes and what was happening and how things were done, you know. And I'm a sucker for if you get David to come to your facility to do a SWUG meeting, I want to go on a shop tour. You know, that's just my mentality, and I like that. I appreciate all the questions and the feedback.
Committee, so all the Mid-Atlantic region. I'm also a SOLIDWORKS champion and a certified SOLIDWORKS expert. So some key takeaways from today. We're going to set up yourself for comfort, set up for yourself for success, and then set SOLIDWORKS up for you, because you know, it's where we're going to spend most of our time. Well, let's do it. So here we go. My desk setup. Ignore the dust. I work at a manufacturing facility. I'm sure we all have the dust and stuff everywhere. So we kind of go over my setup here, and then we'll go into some SOLIDWORKS and how to make yourself. What'd you say? Oh, all right. So first thing, Dell. My company is a Dell house. We use Dell. It's like Harry Potter. You're put into houses when you start. We're just the Dell house. Older PC, but you know, it does the job. 3 monitors. How many monitors does everybody have? 2? 2? Raise your hand if you have 2. Okay. Raise your hand if you have 3. Are you sadistic and have 4? Anybody have 4? 1. Oh. Okay. Well, you have, Adam's got like 8, so I don't know. No, I'm not gonna, you're an anomaly. All right. Part of this, okay, some statistics on why you want to justify multiple monitors to your bosses and your IT department. So when you have, what?
For YouTube.
Oh, for YouTube? Yeah, you can watch YouTube on one and work on another. So there's a 42% productivity increase when using multiple displays, a 20% reduction in hours, and reduced stress for people using multiple monitors. So now go out and convince your IT department you need one of the massive 42-inch curved screens. Yes, take photos of this. It's good. You know, take photos, and you know, tell them it's for my productivity and things, not just for the YouTube that's going to be playing on the far left screen or far right screen. So here we see, you know, kind of the triple monitor setup on your left. I guess it's my left as well if you're looking at the picture. Our task management board on the very far right side is the Teams chat, so the manufacturing can yell at me when I do things wrong. And then in the middle, obviously, is our favorite software, SOLIDWORKS. 3D connection, Space Mouse Pro and CAD Mouse Wireless Pro, which actually I brought with me today. It's so worn down now, it's starting to peel all the rubber off and everything because I use it all the time. And the mouse pad that goes with it. Ergonomics is king here when you're doing your job all the time. We don't want carpal tunnel. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable, you know, injuries, even though they might seem, you know, insignificant at the time. If you're doing this for multiple years, I heard somebody say they were working at a company for 30 or 29, 30 years. You do this a lot, you know, you're going to want to make yourself comfortable, make yourself productive. Loud clicky clack mechanical keyboard. The louder the better. Please annoy your coworkers with the loudest keyboard you can get. I have the Widow V3 Pro. Everybody around me has headphones on now. They don't like that sound. But when they come over and look at me, they're like, wow, that's really flashy. It actually has RGB lights and stuff underneath it. But no, I'm a big mechanical keyboard fan, so I use it. It's actually satisfying to type on. So wrist rest for ergonomics. Hobbyist decorations, you know, got to have the motorcycle there. Safety stuff, gratuitous selfie. There you go. Pull it back up because I got a laugh out of that. That's good.
So nobody can sneak up on you.
Exactly. So they can see what YouTube video I'm watching. And as you see, I have headphones on too in the picture, cover up the bald head. And so here's my desk setup. Now, why do I show this to you? I kind of like nerding out on like how everybody set up. I actually posted something on LinkedIn last year. It was like, here's my desk setup. Show me what you have. And I had like 200 responses in the comments. I had no idea that somebody else was going to be as nerdy about desk setup and office efficiency as me. But here's why. Ergonomics. You want to get yourself a desk that is at the right height for you. If you have a standing desk, even better. I'm not big on standing, I'm short, so the standing desk wouldn't be low enough for me. So I tend to just sit in my chair or stand at my desk because it's low enough. Short joke. Monitor set eye level or 1 to 2 inches below, so you're not having to look down. It's actually bad posture to have your head down, like me looking at this screen right here. You want a laptop stand if you have one. Bring it up if you have to. Some books, laptop stand, anything like that. You want it to be roughly arm's length away. You don't want it all the way back against the wall. I mean, if you have one of the big 42-inch curved monitors, even better. You can, kind of keep it within arm's reach of you. Lumbar support, degrees, I don't care about that. Just somewhere you can sit up straight, makes yourself feel comfortable. Elbows at 90 degrees, make sure your desk is actually, or your chair and everything, keeps yourself ergonomic. This is where you're going to help you with your carpal tunnel and everything like that, especially if you're designing all the time. Knees, your legs flat or kind of angled down, and then feet on the floor, or if your desk is too tall or whatever ergonomics you don't have, get you a footrest. So now we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. Set up SolidWorks for you. Any CAD admins here? Couple, okay. So I know a lot of y'all like to lock down certain settings and stuff. Hopefully you don't lock down everything, because we want the users to be able to have the freedom to customize their work experience. So keep that in mind. A lot of this stuff can be configured. Some of it may be locked down for you based on your company's CAD admin and policies. So we're gonna dive into some things. We'll do some live demos, and then we'll kind of jump back and forth between SolidWorks and PowerPoint, because everybody's been PowerPointed to death, right? So we're gonna start with the command manager. Why do you want to do the command? Do we have people that actually hide the command manager? Okay. Superpower users. We'll call them superpower users.
Unless they're using toolbars.
Are you using toolbars? Oh, okay. I like this. Okay. So this right here is going to be a good refresher for y'all. So, your command manager, big ribbon across the top of the screen, or on the side, wherever you want to dock it. Hide and shows your tabs as you're needed. I do a lot of sheet metal stuff. I want to do a ton of weldments inside of SolidWorks. I get rid of the weldments bar. I don't do any surfacing, because surfacing with sheet metal seems pretty complicated. I don't know if I can actually do a swoopy sheet metal part with, an 800-ton press brake in the building. So, you want to remove all the excess clutter out of your workflows. Make sure that you are using you have only the commands that are there that you need, because like SolidWorks is like a giant Swiss Army knife of a software. It can do many things, but it's not necessarily tailored to your exact job. So this gives us a chance to kind of tailor it to exactly what we do, and add those frequently used commands and remove all the ones you don't need. It's very simple. Keep in mind, I'm in dark mode right now on mine, so it might look a little different than you have light mode, color settings and whatnot. Right click upon your command manager, click the tab drop down, and then select the ones that are available that you can choose from. If you have more, we'll go in and show you how to actually create some for yourself too. So if you want to do some custom ones, which is available, like you see here, we have one that's custom for us that has all of our custom add-ins added to it. Click on customize. After you click on the command manager, this will pull up everybody's favorite thing, the customize tool. I created my own tab here and started everything from left to right on my screen to create a part for me. And just by grabbing and dragging the parts in, you go start with a sketch. That's the basics, right? Then, because I do sheet metal, base flange tab, right next to it, edge flange tab, or boss extrudes if you want to make some weird odd shapes and things. Extrude cut, hole wizard, linear patterns, and then your finishing parts, your fillets, your chamfers. And then in that tab, I have things for my drawings as well. So I don't necessarily have to navigate between all these tabs to do my job. I can have one tab open for both drawings, assemblies, and parts themselves. I've since had to step back from doing that a little bit because I do a lot of support setup at Altec, so I don't get a chance to actually play with these customizations much anymore. But when I get to play with them around and get it set up, I can be far more efficient with my work. Same thing with toolbars. Hide and show your clutter, hide and show as needed, remove the clutter and get them customizable and improve your workflows. Same thing as before, right click in the command manager, go to toolbars and select the ones you want if you have them. Some people don't have tons of toolbars. I actually don't use any of them except for the S key toolbar, the shortcut bar, which we'll kind of show in a little bit. But they're movable. You can drag them all the way around the screen. You can drag them off into other screens if you want, and dock them, lock them in. So find the things you need, customize them, put them where you want. So here we go. Right click, go to toolbars, and go down. Same thing as before. You can come in and drag any command to any toolbar you want just by dragging the commands to the toolbar. So we'll kind of dive into that here real quick with our demo time. Now, I'm using SOLIDWORKS Connected, so some of the options we found, one feature the other day that was not in SOLIDWORKS Connected, the reload feature, but we're going to go in and we're going to throw some customizations in here. I don't care. New part. As you can see, I've already kind of got my stuff set up here. I've loaded my settings from my work PC onto this one. And as you can see, I've got all my stuff already kind of in dark mode, and I've got mostly SOLIDWORKS defaults kind of set up in here. But we're going to go in. I'm going to create my own tab first. We'll go to Customize. You can see all the tabs show up across the bottom. So you can pick. I'm going to come over here at the very end. There's this one called New Tab. And with SOLIDWORKS, you can either use a predetermined one and customize, or you can start an empty one. So if you know you're going to be doing something completely wild and custom, start with the empty tab. Now you're going to help me build it. So what command? It could be any command. Just yell it out.
Move face.
Move face. Here's the good part. I don't have to look for the icon. I can just type it in, move. And look for my move face feature. Grab and drag. Next one. Dynamic mirror entities. That's a very one. I like that one. That was very specific. This is great.
That's one he uses every day.
I'm guessing somebody does that all the time, right? All right, next one.
Copy with mates.
Copy with mates. I like that one.
That's a mouse gesture for me.
Yeah, there's good.
Mouse gesture with me. Yep. All right, we'll get a couple more in here. We'll just throw in. We'll do a sketch in there. We'll throw up a pattern. Oh, force rebuild. Let's see if they have it. Yes, they do. Which one do you want? Rebuild all, force rebuild top level. Let's do the weird one. Rebuild all configurations. I'm doing this just to.
That'd be fun to run.
Yes, it would. That would be fun to run on something with 65 configurations in it. Yeah, I did a configuration presentation on something that I created years ago, and we dumped it into our PLM CAD software, thinking, oh, it'll be fine. No, was not fine.
So that force rebuild all configurations is one that you use when you need a break and you walk away and your boss is like, why aren't you at your desk? Oh, go check it out. It's trying to do SOLIDWORKS is working on it.
It's opening, it's loading. We call it the coffee break model. So I'm doing this just to kind of show you that you can physically customize anything inside of it between drawings, parts, whatever, and it'll hide and show the things as needed going between models, assemblies, and your parts. We'll kind of throw some drawing stuff in there. We'll make drawing from part, because that's a nice one. I love that command. And then we'll do section view, just kind of showcase this. Now, I've got my new tab here. I can go to customize, but what I need to do now, I forgot to name it. Let's go back to my new tab here. Rename.
Jacoby actually put through a new macro button.
A new macro button. Ooh.
I did say Jacoby.
Jacoby that used to work at all.
We
Yes.
talked to him earlier and invited him to the meeting. Jacoby, Mac
Rasmussen just said hello. All right. New.
I did notice one of your tabs on one of your screenshots earlier looked like it was a tab full of macro buttons.
Yes.
Design checkers and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's like I assume that one's a company standard one.
Yes.
Company standard one that we built out called Ace.
Yeah, it's one that we build out. This one that we've built out called Ace, and it has all of the frequently used commands that we use. It integrates with our Team Center PLM software, and it does a lot of things for us. So, but yes, it allows us to deploy it to all of our users and everything. It even allows us to add hotkeys to it now, so I can actually put them in mouse gestures and things. We figured out all that. But yeah, you can add your macro buttons in here. I don't have any macros on this machine, but you can add a macro button into it as well. So if you want to do something like Ace, you can build an entire toolbar or an entire command manager bar for that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of API buttons.
Yep, API buttons. But as you can see, I'm now in my part. All the stuff that I've added that's not part specific grays out, so that I know while I'm working, okay, I need to focus on my work and these 5 or 6 buttons, the commands that I'm doing. The rest of them I don't have to care about until I go to my drawings. We'll just kind of save one here on this machine, go to our drawing, and just see this show how it all flops over here. So we'll make part from drawing using my button. Make drawing from part / assembly. Find the standard size. I don't have any in here, but we'll be all right. And then the other ones that are inside, we'll see if I can get my tabs here. Oh no, it's not showing it to me. Well. Oh no. It's now not showing it to me. Well, I might have found a glitch where I broke it. The tabs should be available on both because you have drawing things inside. But we'll see what I can come up with. That's okay. Close that out. Same thing with toolbars. We'll kind of go into that as well here. Go into our toolbars. We can come in, pick one, just showcase what you want. Got my toolbar here. Go to customize, commands, and I can come in and drag. Should be able to drag parts into it. Yep, I didn't want that one. It's okay. I just grabbed a toolbar. Let me grab another one. Toolbar. We'll do the sketch one just for now. So here we have all of our sketch toolbar open. And because I work with sheet metal, I don't need splines. So we're going to come in, customize, get to my commands. I want to grab and drag out the things I don't need. Can't really do ellipses because I just don't need them anymore. And I can come in and just pick anything I want, grab and drag it into whatever customized toolbar. So if I want to build my own toolbars to use the way I want, it allows us to play around, be more efficient at our jobs. And obviously we want to be as quick as possible because we're always being told to do more with less time with faster production schedules, especially after coming out of the thing that shall not be named for the last 4 years or 3 years. We don't we want to be as fast as possible. So, helpful hotkeys for everyone. We're going to go standard PC hotkeys, built-in SolidWorks commands, and some display-only hotkeys. So, regular ones. All these work inside of SolidWorks. Keep them, use them. My favorite one is the Control Z, especially when I blow mates up, because that seems to work the best. Right? The delete key is a very good one. My next favorite hotkey is Alt F4. It's real good when you tell somebody that's the hotkey for something and they shut their PC, shut the program off, especially ones that don't know it. Some SolidWorks specific ones. Control B, rebuild only the last features you've changed. If you're in large models, doing large assemblies, lots of parts inside, you change one part, you don't have to rebuild the entire model. Control B, just the ones, the features and parts that changed. Control Q does everything from top down in your feature tree. If you're working on something like Adam's got these full body models that hundreds of parts and you really want to mess with them, do a Control Q when he walks away from his desk, and when he comes back and looks at it, it's wondering what's going on.
I have a question for that.
Yes, what's the question in the chat?
What's the fastest way of getting out of the dimensioning command?
The fastest way to get out of it. I've always just used the escape key. I have the escape key on my Space Mouse Pro. Just use that button. It seems to get it out. Is there another hotkey I don't know about? If so, I need to put it in here. All right, Control Tab, cycle through your open files. Just like I'm doing Alt Tab here to cycle through my open my open programs, you can do the same thing with Control Tab if you have multiple files open. So we'll just open another one here. We'll open this one in large design review because it's very large. It's 173 megabytes on this machine, so wish me luck. See what happens. Yes. Huh? Oh, that's just because I checked out the license. Large design review, great thing. Little extra pro tip, if you do models with over 500 parts, make your default opening for 500 parts as large design review. We're going to open up a whole truck here, probably 30 seconds comparatively to 20 minutes to resolve an entire truck. So here we have our full crane in 30 seconds. It's a big model. Yeah, and this is actually one of the smaller crane models we have. But I can jump back and forth between my two program open files just by using Control Tab. So if I want to jump back and forth between parts, I'm not having to go find the window up here and pick it down at the bottom, or find the window down here and pick it. Less mouse miles in your hand. Make it easy. Make it easier on yourself. Enter always repeats the last command unless you are like Adam and change all the settings.
That's one that stayed the same.
Yep. Would you keep hitting it? I mean, you can change it. We'll dive into some of these and I'll show you how to change that as well. S is your shortcut bar. And then my favorite one when working with large assemblies is collapsing the feature tree. Shift C collapses the feature tree. Make sure you remind that. Now there is an option to do the exact opposite of that. It's a good prank to play on your coworkers. If you have a number pad with an asterisk button on it and you push it, you select the feature tree and you hit that button, it'll expand everything down to individual sketches and plans. It's a good prank. I believe you taught me that, Mac. I did. Yeah. Yeah. The OG there. Yeah. So I don't put that in there because that's a mean prank to play on somebody. When you have a truck model that's that large and you decide to do that and you walk away. It's kind of a fun one to do. So we're gonna create our own. You're gonna help me. Same thing with anything. We go to the customize, right click in your command manager, customize, go to the keyboard feature. You can sort your list. You can print the list out that's already created. You can have a deployed set that's already from your CAD manager, or this nice fancy one down here, this big button down at the bottom that says reset to defaults. That's a good one. So if you're running into issues and you've got weird things going on, you can reset all your settings back to default and then diagnose in there. Wonder if it's maybe caused by yourself. So here we have, I'm going to create a command. I want to run a mate, but I want to make a hotkey for it. Type it in the search. Look, it already tells me Control M is something else, but it asked me if I still wanted to assign it anyway. We'll do it again. Just how quick. We created a hotkey that fast. Make sure if you're doing stuff and you want to make yourself faster, start by creating your own hotkeys. It's bread and butter, trying to keep yourself, busy.
Michael Lord posted a glitch, I guess you'd say, in SolidWorks where you go into customize and you're grabbing those commands and putting them in Command Manager.
Yeah.
If you go in there, you go to all toolbars and the search title and type in text. When you hover over the actual text button, it says extrude.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good catch, Michael. Get a +1 in the chat for that one. You hear that, SolidWorks? We're breaking it. All right, mouse gestures. Do we have any mouse gesture users here? Everybody should be raising their hand because they're already on in the software. All right, quick show of hands. 2. How many people use 2-button mouse gesture? How about?
Confession.
Yes.
Didn't use mouse gestures until they supported OK and cancel.
Oh, you're an evil man.
I'm boycotting. That's what moved me off the dime.
Ah, okay.
Boycotted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. How many? 4 button mouse gestures. Okay. How about 8? How about 12? Oh. Yeah, so do I.
Brad, I got a question for those admins. Are they pushing a select set of mouse gestures and stuff for?
Oh yeah, CAD admins. Are you pushing mouse gestures out to your users, the ones that are like pertinent to your job?
Well, in our case, whenever we push out our settings, we explicitly leave mouse gestures and shortcut bars out of it.
Okay.
Those are the 2 areas where we really want our users to make it their own.
Okay.
So we try to push out command manager and
Mhm.
obviously all the system settings, file locations.
Yep.
We try to leave those open and free for our users, just so that they can use what's right for them for what they do.
Okay. I'm going to challenge you on that. Okay. Because we were doing that for a while, and then we started having users that didn't even want to touch the customization.
Or didn't know it was there.
They didn't even know it was there, even though we've done these presentations and things and talked about it. Like, hey, you can custom. They're like, I don't want to do that. So we started asking and polling people throughout the company, random people, like, hey, would you use this mouse gesture if it was here? And we started. We push it as part of the update, but we don't lock them from changing it. Everybody else can change it if they want, but we push it out for everybody to use. Here is the predefined ones that Altec thinks is usable for you. If you want to change it, go for it. I have a user that actually goes back and resets all of his hotkeys and everything to auto disk settings.
Is it an Etch-a-Sketch mode?
No, like he uses the same command. It's like the D key is dimension. C is circle. And I'm like, but yes, it's like Etch-a-Sketch mode. And I constantly look at him like, you've been using SolidWorks for how long? 20 years. And you're still using those? He refuses to change, but we don't prevent him from doing that. We just give him the commands that could be better as part of it, So if you are CAD admin, maybe start reaching out. If you have 20 users, poll a couple of them and see which ones they would find useful. Yes. Yeah, we're gonna get into that here in a minute. You read my mind. Yeah, I like this. But we're gonna jump back into mouse gestures real quick. What are mouse gestures? Why do I need them and how to set them up? So we're gonna just call it a predefined tool or macro. Right click and dragging in the graphics area for SolidWorks. I believe I pulled this definition directly off the SolidWorks help. I love doing that because it keeps them honest.
Toby said he uses 8.
Yeah, 8. Okay. I like that. So here's 8 on one, or 8 on one and 4 on another. Pick the ones you want. We're going to go in and we're going to customize them ourselves. And as you see, mine's got the shortcut bar in there because I don't want to touch my keyboard.
So the gentleman, spaceman who asked about the quickest way to get out of a dimension tool,
Uh-huh.
and touche, he's right, that it's not just escape, but whatever hotkey you're using for dimension, you can just hit it again and it'll
Okay.
put it back off.
Yeah, same hotkey. Okay, kill the command. So why do I do it? Why do we need mouse gestures? If you're not using them, here's some reasons why you need them. Puts the commands at your fingertips. No more toolbar hunting or command manager hunting or customizing all that stuff. I just basically gave you the keys of the kingdom of, you can customize it, but here's how to not do it and make yourself more efficient. And then mouse miles. There's a program that I used at one point called Mouse Otron, and it would measure how far you moved your mouse. And if you saw earlier with my 3 screens, it goes far. You want to make sure that, you're not hurting yourself inadvertently by doing all these repeated commands. And then obviously efficiency. We're always being asked to do more with less.
We've actually thought about doing at Outtech. We just recently talked about this at a Outtech SWUG leaders meeting, to maybe try and put some kind of mouse miles thing on different people who wanted to participate, of course, who wanted to participate in seeing how many mouse miles they were creating and try and figure out who was more efficient.
Yep, it's a competition.
It's a competition. Yeah.
We're pretty competitive. So we're natively competitive. But we're going to go back to our all-time favorite place, the customize tab. We're going to come in, we're going to create these mouse gestures. So I'm about to show you how it's done. And I didn't even attempt to do the Gordon Ramsay voice. Nope. So close this out. Go to our mouse gestures tab. And because I haven't messed with this one, all my stuff is moved over itself. You can see we can kind of move everything around, get what we want. As you can see, this one's not set up very far, right? There's an entire, there's 4 or 5 of them that are not done. So we're going to add some stuff to it. With everything, SolidWorks puts in a handy dandy search. And I've shown the search function in settings and in these customized tabs. And I've actually had other users that use things like Adobe and like Lightroom and things. And they wish they can have the same search function that SolidWorks allows. This is groundbreaking for many other programs, not just CAD software. So use the search function. So for our drawing here, our drawing one, we're going to come in, we're going to find model items. We'll make sure we drag that one in. And it's as easy as just grabbing all the drawing commands that I want. I can even find the specific ones that I want. So if I know I'm going to go to an edit, we'll back this up and find all of the specific edit commands. If I want to go into tools, find my specific tool commands, or just search all, find the things you want. We'll go into projected view because, we always want everything drawing related on our drawing mouse gesture. Hatch. Ooh, that's a good one. We can even add the what's new in there. I didn't know you could do that. Welcome to the future. We can just now I want to see what's new. But you can also add your shortcut bar. So I want to make sure we add my shortcut bar in there so that I don't have to touch my keyboard to go to my shortcuts. So basically it's like unlocking unlimited mouse gestures by adding things like your shortcut bar on the side. That way I can come in and hide my command manager.
How are you bringing up the mouse gesture?
mouse gestures is right click in the graphics area and drag. And then I can put any command in here I want. So if I want to do a sketch, I already know here's my sketch command. We'll pull the sketch, put the plane in, come in here and draw a box. Well, do our dimensions. With this, aside from having to type the dimensions, I can do everything without touching my command manager. So use the mouse gestures, make yourself efficient.
Now, if you only had OK and cancel in your mouse gestures.
Yes, you could, but how would you get it OK and cancel directly to your mouse button?
I just used the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, breadcrumb work. That was even later than mouse.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you bring the D key, hit the D key, it brings OK and cancel directly to the mouse button. And now I've got what I need. Come in. Yes.
So I have a question that I've asked a couple of years ago, and they didn't have the answer.
Okay.
So when you're constraining something,
Mhm.
it recommends one of the constraints, kind of like highlights it.
Mhm.
Is there a keyboard shortcut to select that recommended one?
It should auto drop. So if you're like it, so if we're going into a sketch, it should auto drop. Let's say if we do a line here, and it's going to give you a recommended one. See the yellow.
Well, in assembly, like when you're
Oh,
vertical, not what I meant to do. Like parallel or coincident.
oh, like putting parts in.
It highlights one of them. Like this is the best one to use.
Okay, so like in an assembly, not in a sketch,
No, I guess it's.
You're talking about the fly up, aren't you?
because like
Put it
it.
off axis, like that.
Uh huh.
And then if you get out of the drawing line and then you select it again, it pulls up this menu, and then vertical is like bold. If
Yep.
you look at the square around it.
Yes,
So if we just make it do that with a keyboard shortcut or a mouse shortcut.
Let's see. Let's try it. Well, let's see. Make. Let's see. Make vertical. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a shortcut though, not a hotkey.
But
What's the search?
You'd still have to click it.
yeah, you still have to click it.
Okay.
And
Cause like over
make
in
it.
the sidebar, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like over here.
Like over in the sidebar, it always makes one of the options bold, like this is the best option, one that you're probably looking for.
Yes.
And then you have to go click it yourself anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I've never actually seen that. I've never seen one a hotkey for that.
Press the.
Good question.
That is a good question. I've never actually thought about doing that.
That's
Yeah.
tab and enter or
Count-
something.
Yeah.
I tab or the enter because it's selected for you.
That's
I
interesting.
mean, those kind of questions, that's good stuff because that's what makes you dive deeper to find things that will make your job more efficient.
Yeah. And if that makes it more efficient, you can submit it as an enhancement request. Your VAR can help you with that as well. That's a good one. I like that. So you were asking questions about getting your stuff saved, right? I get a fresh SolidWorks install, it crashes and it's terrible and I've done something to break it. Well, I install it, or I get a new computer, or God forbid, I need a new job. You can save your settings. So inside of SolidWorks on your PC, there's a SolidWorks tools folder, and you go down to this copy setting. Or it was called Copy Settings Wizard. Now it's just the SolidWorks Settings Wizard. And that again. Open it up. Find the settings you want to save. It's going to ask you the options you want to select. Put it where you want. It says, I'm going to put that there. And it allows me to save it. Now, for this presentation, I actually created one specifically for for the setting, for this thing. The good news is I can close this one out. We'll close SolidWorks here. Shame. Don't do it during a presentation. Huh.
Unplug, plug.
I broke it.
Plug, plug.
Apparently, I did break it.
They said your time has expired. Get out.
I mean, it's possible. All right, we can see it again. Okay. Let's do this. I'm trying to.
Just in time for Zoom to catch up.
I know. We've been, Zoom has been laggy today. Let's see, I don't want the preview because I want that to go away. All right. So we have the setting. I'm going to deploy it for my SolidWorks. You click the button. I have it saved currently to a Google Drive, but I have where I want it to go, the version of SolidWorks I want it to launch for, all the settings that I want to restore. Click next. It's going to create the backup for the one I have, and it's going to deploy SolidWorks settings directly to my install. So anything I customize can go there. But we'll do a live walkthrough of the SolidWorks settings wizard now. Find it on your machine. Go to Save Settings. Let's shrink this down so you can see it better. Find the things you want to save. You know your system options. That's going to be deployed by your business, your company. They might lock that out. Set it. Uncheck it. Select all the things you want to save. Find the location. We'll put it in here. Live. Got it where I want it to be. Got my name titled the way I want. Finish. And it says it has been written. Now I can actually pull it up and deploy it. So we'll just go ahead and open it back up here. I'm using SolidWorks Connected, so it's actually opening through the connector here. And it's going to have my settings, all my color stuff, all dark mode, light mode, that kind of thing. I'm colorblind, so I run everything in dark mode because, they don't have a colorblind mode yet. I really wish they did, because I work with some other softwares like OBS Studio as a colorblind mode that offsets the colors far enough to where you can see them. So, hint, hint. Because you would not believe there's a lot of people who are colorblind. Anybody in this room besides me colorblind? See, there's 3. I'm sure more people have. They're just not diagnosed with it. But there could be deficiencies there. All right. That's right. Bike night. Oh, dang it. I broke it again. Oh, there we go. So now you've set up all your stuff the way you want. It's good. So any SolidWorks user can save their profile. Anyone. Unless you're a CAD admin and says you can't. But I believe you could still do some settings that way. So now we're going to go into peripherals to talk about specifically, find things that work for you. Make yourself more efficiently. We've got a Logitech mouse here. I believe this is one very similar to what Adam does. His is a very similar one. I use a 3D Connection CAD mouse to be more efficient with my stuff. It's got all the extra buttons on it. Zoom in and out. Try to get more commands at my hands here rather than on the keyboard for efficiency. Good examples for keyboards. They're loud. They're clicky. If you want to go into the extreme realm of mechanical keyboard customization, you can actually build your own, and it's nuts. Like I don't want to take on another hobby. So, oh, okay. Yeah, darn. All right. I'm sorry, wife, for the $500 mechanical keyboard I built. But I've got the Razer keyboard that I use. It works really well out of the box. Some other 3D peripheral examples is the 3D Connection products. We have the Space Mouse, the Space Mouse Pro, and the Enterprise. Does anybody actually have the Enterprise in the room?
What's in that box over there?
Actually, they're, in all honesty, they're going to mail them direct to you because we can't carry them everywhere. We didn't have enough space to carry all the prizes. So whoever wins it tonight will get it. You'll email them and they'll send you one direct. Then there's my setup. I like to keep my hands flat, separated from the keyboard. Try not to type. Make everything as efficient as possible. With the hotkeys up at the top, use the dedicated hotkeys on the mouse. Keep yourself as efficient as comfortable as possible. Yes.
Foot pedals. Think about how much productivity you're leaving on the floors.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Shortcut bar and your breadcrumbs there.
Just my office would be so loud with people stomping all day.
You'll have a bunch of drummers sitting next to you before you know it.
It'd be fun. Yeah. We'll figure out who doesn't have rhythm. All right. So here's some other really obscure ones here. These are external keypads or macro pads if you want to go that route. I know a lot of gaming uses these macro pads. You can assign all your macros to them or commands to them. Yes, you do that. But you only have two hands. So you've got one for CAD mouse, one for your space mouse.
So I use something very similar to this, and I take just a regular space mouse and I put it in that little corner nook right there. And so my hand's right here on all my macro buttons, and then my mouse is right, my space mouse is there, and then my mouse is here.
Yeah. Yeah. So just something to think about. You know, you might not always think that a gaming setup would be good for at least the setup and ergonomics for gaming could be used for work. So kind of look into that realm and see what you're doing. Some other macro keypads that I've seen. If you want to go into that route, you can probably build your own if you wanted to do those kind of custom keys and things. If you know you do certain specific things over and over again, why not? Make your job easier. So why do I talk about this? Well, we've reduced fatigue and waste and increase efficiency. Now, we program them on the peripherals, put them in ergonomics, less finger gymnastics, and wasted time is wasted money. Now, this with the caveat, 3D Connection gave me this time study, and I added some actual time study numbers to it to actually make some monetary sense for somebody. But a 5% reduction in waste, which is 3 minutes per hour, times a 40-hour work week, is 120 minutes saved per week. And times that by 44 weeks, which is average working weeks, and that's 88 hours of time savings a year. And I don't know what an engineer salary makes. I just threw $55 together there, but it's $4,800 in time savings, roughly, a year. So enough to justify a $200 cat mouse. Use, you know, yeah, you can reprogram those keys. So you can say, I want my D key to actually be another whatever.
All right, take a picture for your boss.
Take a picture. No. Well, now you know I got to have 3 monitors. I got to have a mechanical keyboard. I got to have a $250 space mouse. 4K curved monitor. Yeah, I would love a 4K curved monitor.
I'm not going to shoot for 8K. You know, you don't want to make sure you're ahead of the curve.
Yes, that's right. But with that, we have 97% of the users less pain in their hands over time if you're working with a mouse all day. You know, some of us work 8-10 hours a day straight at our desks. I try not to. I try to get up, move around. But, you know, there comes those days where you're sitting there all day, deep in thought on a design, and you're just moving. And you want to reduce the muscle fatigue in your hands and your forearms and reduce that pain in your hand. You don't want carpal tunnel. I've seen what it does. I have mechanics in my family, and they've had to have both their hands fixed for carpal tunnel, and I don't want to be part of that. So, you know, find ways to make yourself more ergonomic, more comfortable, and you know, be better at your job that way. So you see, we've got navigation and command. Without a 3D mouse, you've got a little switch time in there. It could be a little, but it's still a little bit of time. Whereas with a 3D mouse, you're actually doing some commands in between navigation of your parts, and it increases the bandwidth of how much work you can do. Now, I haven't been able to confirm this with SolidWorks yet, but I've also heard that when you're using 3D mouse to rotate a part, it suspends the rebuild of the graphics until you let go of it. Whereas if you're using the mouse wheel to zoom in and out, every click of that mouse wheel causes it to regenerate. It's having to calculate over and over again. So I'm glad I got a confirmation here that actually is correct. It actually helps you function faster inside the software because you're only regenerating when you let go of the mouse. So also, it's also been used on TV. Can you see it?
That's because they're in space.
Yes,
That's why they have to have a space mouse.
that's how they drive the ship.
It only makes sense.
Somebody Googled something on that set. Came up with a space.
Yes, I'm sure they did. Can you have, like, there's some guy, some set designer's like, I figured it out. We can control the whole ship with a space mouse. I like it. So, kind of run a little bit over time, so we'll do questions now. Anybody in the questions in the chat? If so, we got some prizes and stuff here in a minute to give away. I think that's what everybody's here for. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Spread SolidWorks across all 3 screens. How do you do that? What is your setup?
So I typically just run it on the center screen. I have some older monitors that have the really wide bezels, and I don't like the image going across those. That's just a personal preference. But I do know some users that will spread it across both screens and then tile them left and right. So you can work on one thing, click, move over to the other thing, and work back and forth. So if you're working on some collaborative design with somebody, or you're working on 2 models at the same time, or how they interact, you can do that as well.
Fun fact, if you do that, and this is one of the things I use in a few of my different presentations, tips and tricks, or my gaming one, you can use, if you don't know, you can use hold down control and copy anything, copy parts into your assembly.
And drag across.
Drag across parts assemblies, copy sketches and cutouts. But if you have drug across your monitors and you have multiple windows, you can drag parts across your different files, and you can copy cutouts and sketches.
Yep.
Across your
Copy your features over that way.
just by holding control.
Yep. Any more questions? Yes.
Have you heard of the Windows clipboard history? Where you, instead of Control C, Control V, you Control C, and it keeps the last 20 things you copied on the list.
Oh, I need to add that to my presentation. Windows C.
You can pin them and they'll survive a reboot. So it's something you use all the time.
Ah, I like that. Yes. Oh, did you just, oh yeah, you did it. Okay. I need to learn how to do that. Yes.
Kobe says facts.
With my customization, and I'll typically have a model or assembly and a drawing, but same screen, same monitor, just split.
Mhm.
But when I toggle between the 2, it'll frequently pull up toolbars that out of random, it'll pop up at the bottom or on the side, and even though I have my toolbars locked and I have my settings saved, it happens periodically. And have you come across that before?
I have not. That does sound like a little glitch in the
I don't
system.
know if it's a SolidWorks thing or a Windows operating thing, or yes. So the toolbars that pop up are document type dependent, drawing versus parts versus assemblies. Sure. And part of that unpredictability was exactly why SolidWorks got away from toolbars and made the command manager. Because a lot of that at the document level of the operating system, and they didn't have a lot of control over it. Sure. So it's inevitable.
Yep.
All right.
I'm glad I have somebody here that can help answer those oddball questions that I've never had before. This is good. Now I know. I like this.
You'll repeat his question, there's a couple of things.
Okay. Okay, so the question was, if I have my screens tiled, a drawing and a part tiled on the same screen, working on them, and when I go to switch between drawing and the part as they're tiled, toolbars will randomly show up, even though that they are locked and they are hidden in each of the file types, so in the model or in the drawing.
And Windows V
And Windows V
also,
also, rephrase.
and
It's a SolidWorks glitch because they don't have the control over top of those toolbars very efficiently. The other one is Windows V, and you can use Windows V, which will save up to the 20, you said 20? 20 copies, and you can pin them and they will survive a reboot. So yeah, good. Any more questions?